We were talking about that earlier, and that's
Yes,
something
we
I
were.
really didn't know that I learned right here, that the Indian
nice.
outside the store represented they sold tobacco.
Yeah.
How about that? I knew it had something to do with tobacco, but hey guys, I'm in Vail, North Carolina at Hart Square Village, and boy, I'm excited. This is an amazing place. Dr. Hart started this back in the early 70s. This is his granddaughter, Rebecca Hart, and this is Brett Weatherman. And he contacted me last month when I was in North Carolina about this. He's one of the maintenance supervisors, I guess, here.
Yep.
And we're here today to film what Dr. Hart has done here over the past 50 years, and it's just spectacular. There are over 100 different I call them Appalachian structures, but I love it. And Rebecca's going to take us in the old general store, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her grandfather and his vision of this place. So you grew up here, I guess, as a kid, huh?
I did. I always tell people my first job here was child labor. I helped move several of the cabins here with my grandfather and the 7 other grandchildren. It was a wonderful way to grow up. So.
And now you're the director of it. And it's a nonprofit organization.
That's correct.
And you do an event once a year that they have to buy tickets to. And I understand they usually sell out to get into it.
Yes, we do a big Living History Festival in October every year. It's October 28th this year. And then we do traditional Appalachian heritage craft classes all year round and field trips for children. So.
And Brett, you've been here about 8 years too, right? So
Yep.
Tell them how you started out.
Started out, a gentleman asked me to help park cars during the festival day, so I said yes, I will. The next year, Rebecca reached out to me and said we need people to start fires in all the fireplaces. There's 65 fireplaces, some of the outdoor fireplaces also. So I started doing that, and still I do the fireplaces during the festival day. Bob passed away in March of 2020. And so he would always be out here every day of the week, more or less, doing different things, picking up sticks, fixing a porch board, a handrail, just whatever needs to be done to 103 structures. And she didn't have a maintenance man at the time, and I said, you know, I'd be willing to help out, try to get ready for the festival. It was during COVID year. We wasn't sure with everything going on, so that's where I stepped in, and I'm the maintenance manager over here, site maintenance manager. So, and that's been a lot of work.
Well, I guess you've been watching some of my videos and saw
Yeah.
what I did, and you
Yep.
emailed me. You saw I'd come to North Carolina last
Yeah.
month, and you said, well, maybe he'll come back. And
Yeah.
as soon as I
Yep.
looked it up on the internet and saw all the pictures of the, you know, especially in the fall, it's beautiful here with all the leaves and everything. I said, yes, I'm coming.
Yep.
And I got to see some of there's some videos on YouTube of your grandfather talking about some of the structures
Yep.
and some of the structures. And one of them was right here, the general merchandise store, and that's what we're going to go into and look at first. And so on this very first video today, we're going to look at the general store, and then the second video coming up after this one, we're going to go up and watch them. They're rebuilding the what is it called?
It's called the pottery groundhog kiln. We had to redo the brickwork inside was falling down, so about 6 months ago we rebuilt it, and now we're in the process of putting the roof over top of it to keep the mud from washing off of it. But on festival day, how many pots we put in it?
400.
400 pots of different size and height, and we fire it, and we can see more of it when we go back over there in a little bit. And so we got a group of volunteers helping us today with that.
So that'll be on a second video, because we're going to spend a little bit of time with Rebecca inside the general store looking at some of the amazing antiques that Dr. Hart has collected over the years. And one of the very first structures is this one right back here.
Yes, the Hunsucker cabin was moved here in 1973, and it's sort of the thing that spiraled the uncontrollable passion of moving the rest of the 102 structures here.
And you said something about the community kind of thought your grandfather was kind of crazy or something about doing all this? Or?
Yeah, he was a doctor in town in Hickory, a family practice doctor. And so he would talk about moving the Hunsucker cabin here, and all his patients got super interested. And the rest of the community said, well, I'm a carpenter, I'm a furniture builder, I'm a blacksmith. So then this place just was never empty again. And we had tons and tons of help and support from our community.
Well, we're going to let Brett go over and get started back with. He's got a lot of volunteers he needs to get back there and help. And Rebecca's going to take us inside and look at this. Thanks for your time. We'll see you here in just a few minutes.
Appreciate it.
All right, Rebecca, we're ready to go in?
Yeah, let's go check it out.
Let's go.
All right, guys.
So one of the things we know from, it was built in what year?
1790 by the Little family.
By the Little family, and each one of these cabins has a number. I see this is number 29. Now, does that mean the order that he put them here, or how's those numbers work?
I've been trying to figure out this number situation a long time. I have no idea. No idea, but this was definitely early because of the section it was in. We're very close to that first cabin we talked about earlier, so I know this is one of the first 10 that was moved here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And each one's got a number and
that correlates to a map.
to a map. Okay.
Yes.
So this was the little cabin, and he had found this here in North Carolina, maybe?
Yes, this was probably located about within a 10-mile radius since it was one of our first ones. The full collection comes from over 60-mile area, so the Catawba River Valley.
So he turned it into what would have been a country store or a general store, basically, and you were talking about all the different items he had to collect. You said, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was talking earlier about collecting, because I know a lot of y'all are collectors. This was the hardest one to collect for because you had to find multiples of things. The window casing is a great example of trying to find multiples. He said it took him 10 years to collect everything in this one building.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. He needs more than one of the same item.
Yes, exactly.
I got you. So yeah, I see here he's got, so to make it look like in the actual store, he needed quite a few of the same item.
Yeah. And there's some really interesting items in here that I'd love to talk about.
Okay.
So we have a little children's goat cart here. And I think that is a really sweet piece with the original paint. That came with the house, one of the only items that came with the house. Below that, I have an original 1800s cigar press. Now, you know, tobacco was huge in North Carolina back in those days, and so you could actually come and purchase tobacco here, roll it, and have it right on the spot. There was a way that they told us whether they had fresh tobacco in the Appalachian region, which was they put a wooden Native American structure outside of the general store, and he's right over here. So if they had fresh tobacco available and you were in your wagon, you would know without having to dismount that that was going to be here in the store. Some of y'all, when you drive through the country, see these still in front of gas stations and country stores.
Well, we were talking about that earlier, and that was
Yes,
something
we
I
were.
really didn't know that I learned right here, that the Indian outside the store represented they sold tobacco.
Yeah.
How about that? I knew it had something to do with tobacco, but that's kind of like their sign.
Yeah.
Instead of a sign, they had a wooden Indian.
Mm-hmm. Now, another interesting piece in here is this thread cabinet. You know, my grandfather did a lot of work for people in this area to help them keep their cabins up in the hopes that maybe one day he would get them here. And so he helped a woman in her 80s keep up her grandparents' cabin, and she gave him this in return, and it is from their original country store here in Vail.
We was looking at this earlier, and Brett was showing me that it loads from the top right here.
Oh, yeah.
And that was neat. Let's see if I can get it open. So they would put the spools of thread in up here, and they'd come down through here. And probably at one time they might have been all one color, possibly. Mm-hmm. And then you open it up down here, and then you would pull them out. So that, and this is four-sided. It's got four different sides. I'm not for sure. It's got another one here. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. And it looks like they had numbers on them. And this is a very nice piece. Mm-hmm. Very nice piece. I've seen a few maybe from the 40s and 50s, but this one probably dates back into the late 1800s possibly, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing the things that were made in that time. People don't realize how creative they were.
Yeah.
Another piece I love is this children's wagon. This is a Piedmont wagon, which was a company in Hickory, about 20 miles from here. And Piedmont wagon was obviously very popular in the days of wagons, but it had a massive resurgence actually during the Depression, right when the first cars came out, because then people couldn't afford the cars. So this company was one of the only employers that kind of helped our area survive the Great Depression. All of their pieces are noteworthy because of the green and red paint. So there's a lot of collectors out there that really like the Piedmont wagons.
Wagon manufacturing, North Carolina, Hickory. Okay.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
So I see that. So they people went back to buying wagons during the Depression. Mm-hmm. And so they kept making, but this one was made mainly for a kid, or?
This one is an example of a children's one, but we do have actual covered wagons in the village that are from the Piedmont Wagon Company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How about that? That's interesting, ain't it?
Yeah, it is.
To have something that local. Do you know what year the wagon, do you think that was built during the Depression, this one?
This one, I think, predates that a little bit, but not much because it has the metal components to it, so it's not one of the earliest ones they did. This piece, I think, is interesting. This was a locksmith's sampler. So a locksmith would travel door to door and sell you on what he could make you for your cabin. And so this will show you his little sampler, and it was much easier for him to transport that around than carrying a full door. So we have a lot of different examples in some of the other cabins of samplers. People used to do that with cotton gins. They'd travel with a little tiny built cotton gin and tell you that that's what they could build you. So I think that's interesting. This is one of Brett's favorite pieces because he's, the maintenance guy. So he loves the way that all of this is organized, and he says he wishes that Lowe's would still use these to organize because he can never find what he wants. We have all sorts of shot here. They kept everything. That's really, I could do a 30-minute video on this whole thing, but... Now,
tell me more. What is this? Oh, the shot. Okay,
the shot, yeah.
I got you. I see it right here. It's to make for their shotguns. That was the pellets.
Exactly.
I've never realized that they'd actually come in and buy it like that. Then would they buy it by the ounce or the pound or something?
Yeah, exactly, by the ounce. So they would have weighed it. So it normally is by the scale, but I had to move it because the little kids on field trips love to just open it up.
So they open it up and they come out.
It goes everywhere.
So it probably would have had, I see you got maybe the same size through there right now. There might be a few different ones, but it probably were smaller, bigger, different gauge of it.
You are exactly right.
How about that? So we've got a box full of string. It's not string, I don't guess it'd be.
Yeah, we've got some yarn and linens. We have a huge fiber history here in the area. Our area was really well known for fiber and furniture making. So you'll see a lot of really beautiful pieces of furniture and you meet a lot of people who do fiber art still that were passed down through generations, like flax and lace making and weaving.
Okay, so Hickory, North Carolina still makes furniture, I guess, don't they?
Oh yes, we're like a nationally known furniture area and fabric. Ooh. So it's really neat that those have persisted through time,
Have any idea how far that goes back in Hickory that they've been making furniture? Or?
Yeah, I think the late 1800s, I can think of the Bernhardt family. They were started in the 1800s. And then Valdez Weavers is one of our big fabric providers, and they're a 3-generation company. So, yeah, a lot of family heritage there, and a lot of those same folks who work in our factories are the same people who demonstrate living history out here. So they come and bring the village to life for our living history festivals, and they will do the lace making that they learned from their grandparents.
So let's talk about that just a minute while you brought it up.
Sure.
The festival will be the last weekend in October, and they can buy tickets online.
That's right.
And they go to hartsquare.com. Hartsquare.com.
That's right.
All right. So there's limited. You only sell so many, right?
Yes, I limit it to 3,500, and it pretty much sells out every year. And the Christmas one I do as well is the first weekend of December, and they both sell out at this point. That's limited to 1,000 a night. The only difference between them is one is during the day and one is in the evening by candlelight. So go ahead and get them if you want to come visit us. Come say hey to me and tell me that you saw me.
So that's the only time it's really open to the public then, I guess. You do some other events though. I mean, some classes and training events, and that's online. I saw that on your website.
Yeah, so we open to the public for 17 events a year. That's just the one we're known for best, and it's our biggest one. So we are open throughout the year. We have a membership program for people to come Monday through Friday. We've got a lot of retirees who come and love to walk the historical trails. We're working towards having admission, but it takes staff and money and time. So that is our goal, but I think we're a few years away.
So, all right, I wanted to get that in there before we forgot about it. So, because
Yeah.
I know people's going to want to come see this place because they're just
Definitely.
seeing one of the structures. There's over 100 of them here.
That's
so,
right.
and the property is absolutely beautiful. So, let's look at the. There's a few things over here. I see the cheese.
Yeah.
I've never seen one like this right here. I've just usually seen it sitting on a counter, but this must open up and pull out or something. What's this?
Yeah, it does. It opens up, it pulls out, and it spins around on a Lazy Susan style platform. And, you know, it has this screen here, much like a lot of the pie safes that we see in the village, but this one was a specific cheese cabinet is what that's called.
So that kept the cheese fresh one instead of it just sitting out on the counter.
That's right. That's
about
exactly
that?
right. And they would have sold breads, biscuit mix, flour mix. So it really is your one-stop shop. You know, anything you want. We've got a lot of little sawed irons here. My grandfather loved to collect those. I don't really know why, but he loved them. And then, of course, this is where you would get all of your own fabric for making your own clothes. Once they progressed a little bit more, they would have had some higher fashion items that we have over here. And then some people would have made their own. It really just depended on your income level. We've got original shoes as well. I swear they had narrower feet. I don't know. They look so tiny.
Oh, wow.
I know.
How about that?
Maybe it's like the corset, you had to shove it in there or something.
So I see they got some burlap over here too.
Yeah, definitely. That would have been used quite a lot. And then buttons, you know, because you needed every piece if you were going to be constructing your own clothing.
Yeah, it takes. We come in here earlier and looked around, but it really takes a while to really absorb everything that's in here.
Yeah, it does. I want to show you some stuff in the attic too, but we'll have to kind of walk around to do that. But, you know, when we look back at this backdrop here of all the different items, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about the difficulty of collecting for a country store, of just trying to find the different types of things in good condition. Brett loves the cash register we have here. It has a passcode on it. And if you don't know the passcode, it's going to let the general store manager know that you're trying to break into his cash register. So it's bell operated.
So that bell we just heard, it's inside the cash register?
Yeah. Isn't that
Okay.
neat? So here's the little, kind of like the inside of a piano. I'll push on those keys. You can see that.
Combination lock, huh?
Yes, it's an original combination lock. You know, he would have kept money back here, of course, but he also would have used a ledger system. So this is an original 1800s ledger where they would have, you know, kept their credit. You might have, as a farmer, not had the money to pay until your crops came in. So they used this ledger system, and then when your crops came in and you got your money, you'd come back in and pay your bill.
So do you know what this one, what years this one is?
Let's see.
Wow,
I bet
it's old, ain't
we
it?
could try to find out. Wow, it is really old, isn't it? Wow. You know, they had such better handwriting back then than we do now. So, I don't know, do you see any dates on here?
Well,
Here's an 1858 ledger.
1858. How about that?
Yeah, that's pretty neat, huh?
Mid 1800s we're finding here.
Yeah. And then we've got 1863 here, so.
1863.
All original. You know, on a more somber note, one thing they also carried in a general store was coffins and children's coffins. And those are located up above me in the rafters here. They would have also kept, you know, larger items that weren't as common, maybe custom order items up there. So we see a lot of original barrels, and big flour sacks and things like that.
So yeah, I see some cast iron up here on the top I didn't see. The more I look around, the more I find.
Oh yeah, cast iron is we all know this. We still use cast iron today because it just doesn't get any better than cast iron. But a lot of our trail cookers out here and our open hearth cookers, they love using cast iron, and it's just, I feel like it's been a mainstay in American culture since this time period that we're in right now. It's great.
Looks like we got some candy over here.
Yes, that's for the kids. When we do field trips, I like to bring them in here and let them try.
So you actually give them some candy.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not just for display then.
No, it's modern. So we like to let them kind of experience in a little more of a hands-on way what something would have tasted like, or let them touch some of the items. And it's good to be tactile with children.
Okay, so you have quite a few groups come through local from this area.
We have 5,000 students we serve every year.
Oh, wow.
So you're just missing them. They're coming next week to start their spring season. And we serve about 10 different counties in this region.
So they come here as an educational tour to learn what it was like to live back in the day before the internet.
Yes, it's mind-blowing to them. This store, for instance, is mind-blowing to them. It's why I feature it on my tour with them, because they're used to Walmart, right? And I was like, this is all you would have access to. And so it's neat to see the wheels turn, you know.
So we got a tobacco cutter maybe, or what we got going on here? What's this do?
Yeah, tobacco cutting.
And then I looked at this earlier when we first walked through with Brett. He wasn't for sure what this was here.
I don't know really what this is either. It kind of looks like a meat grinder, but I'm not totally sure.
I kind of thought it might have ground tobacco possibly.
Ooh, maybe it did. I hope someone comments and lets us know in the comments section of the video.
Now, is this something that's sitting on top of the box? Okay, that's not part of the box then.
No.
These are just some type of weights maybe for the balances here. Okay, so you got some scales right here.
Yeah, I got some scales. We were talking earlier about weighing out shot. They would have weighed out plenty of things out here. A lot of things were sold by weight.
So that one's kind of a mystery. Looks like apparently you put something in there and grind it and it might come out the back there maybe.
Yeah, we'll have to have someone teach us what that is.
I don't know how many people actually use one of those that's still watching YouTube, but you got some interesting boxes up here and wow. So
I love all the funny like cure-all things from the 1800s, like, you know, just different little things that say they can cure a bunch of stuff. If you come back in October, I've got a guy that does, he's a medicine man, and he brings all of his potions from the 1800s and talks about them. All right, so I found my Humphrey's Remedies, and he claims to be able to cure 77 different ailments, everything from coughs to dysentery to kidney disease, spasms, sore throat. I wonder how he did with that.
So that's interesting. You think that's prices out here that says 25, maybe $1? You think that's what the prices of the? Or is that one remedy, or is that all different ones?
Ooh, I think the number is here, and then the price of that, so 25 cents, and then we have the number here, and then the price here.
So how about that?
Yes. I wish medicine was still 25 cents.
Well, I think we've got a good tour of this one. We're going to wrap this video up, and we'll go over here and start filming with the other guys a little bit.
Sounds good. Have fun over at the Pottery Kiln, y'all.